when you lean on your knuckles right on your face. This is what happens. Another morning, another chapter. Hi guys, this is Connie, and I'm here. Oh, I can't believe I did that. Um, Here with Connie reads Another Fine Myth. We're on chapter 12. I gotta start learning to do these when I'm more awake, but I seem to be better than coffee or tea. A quote: First impressions are of major importance in business matters. J. Pierpont Finch. May I help you, gentlemen? The proprietor's rich robes did not successfully hide his thinness. I am not particularly muscular, as skeeve, that is, but I had the impression that if I struck this man, he wouldn't bruise, he'd shatter. I mean, I've seen skinny men before, but he seemed to be a skeleton with a too small skin stretched over the bones. We'd like to talk with Abdul, Oz said loftily. I am he, and he is I, recited the proprietor. You see before you, Abdul, a mere shadow of a man, pushed to the brink of starvation by his clever customers. You seem to be doing all right for yourself, I murmured, looking about me. The shop was well stocked, and even my untraveled eye could readily detect the undeniable signs of wealth about. The rugs were delicately woven in soft fabrics unfamiliar to me, and gold and silver shone from the depths of their designs. Obviously, these rugs were intended for the wealthy, and it seemed doubtful their current owner would be suffering from a lack of comfort. Ah, therein lies the tale of my foolishness, cries the proprietor, wringing his hands. In my blind confidence, I sank my entire holdings into my inventory. As a result, I starve in the midst of plenty. My customers know this and rob me in my vulnerable times. I lose money on every sale, but a man must eat. Actually, Oz interrupted, we're looking for something in a deep shag wall-to-wall carpet. What's that? I do not confuse poor Abdul, so my humble... Oh, what's that? Do not confuse poor Abdul, so my humble business... Come off it, Abdul, or should I say, Frumple. Oz grinned his widest grin. We know who you are, and what you are. We're here to do a little business. At his words, the proprietor moved with a swiftness I would not have suspected him capable of. He was at the door in a bound, throwing a bolt of and lowering a curtain, which seemed to be of a substance even more strange than that of his rugs. Where'd you learn your manners? He snarled back over his shoulder in a voice quite unlike the one used by the whiny proprietor. I've got to live in this town, you know. Sorry, Oz said, but he didn't sound at all Oz said, but he didn't sound at all apologetic. Well, watch it next time you come barging in and start throwing my name around. People here are not particularly tolerant of strange beings or happenings. He seemed to be merely grumbling to himself, so I seized the opportunity to whisper to Oz. Psst, Oz, what's wall-to-wall? Later, kid. You, the proprietor, seemed to see me for the first time. You're the statue. I didn't recognize you moving. Well, I should have known, he raved on. Deal with imps and you invite trouble. Next thing you know, He broke off suddenly and eyed us suspiciously. His hand disappeared into the folds and emerged with a clear crystal. He held it up and looked through it like an eyeglass, scrutinizing us each in turn. I should have known, he spat. Would you be so kind as to remove your disguises? I like to know who I'm doing business with. I glanced at Oz, who nodded in agreement. Closing my eyes, I began to effect the change to our normal appearance. I had enough time to wonder if Frumple would wonder about my transformation, if he realized I was actually a different person than the statue he had seen earlier. I needn't have worried. A pervert? Frumple managed to make the word sound slimy. That's pervect if you want to do business with us, Oz corrected. It's pervert until I see the color of your money, Frumple sneered back. I was suddenly aware he was studying me carefully. Say, you wouldn't by any chance be an imp named Throckwaddle, would you? Me? No, I'm... but he was already squinting at me through the crystal again. He grunted, tucking his viewer back in his robe. I guess you're okay. I'd love to get my hands on that Throckwaddle, though. He's been awfully free, spreading my name around lately. Say, Frumple, Oz interjected. You aren't the only one who likes to see who he's doing business with, you know. Oh, very well, if you insist. I expected him to close his eyes and go to work, but instead he dipped his hand into his robe again. This time, he produced what looked like a small hand mirror with some sort of dial on the back. Peering into the mirror, he began to gently turn the dial with his fingers. The result was immediate and startling. Not merely his face, but his whole body began to change, filling out and taking on a definite reddish hue. As I watched his brows thicken and grew closer together, his beard line crept up his face as if it were alive, and his eyes narrowed cruelly. Almost as an afterthought, I noted that his feet were now shiny cloven hooves, and the tip of his pointed tail appeared at the bottom hem of his robe. In an impressively short period of time, he had transformed into a devil. Sorry, I got a text. Despite all my preparations, I felt the prickle of superstitious fear as he put away the mirror and turned to us again. Are you happy now? He grumbled at Oz. It's a start, Oz conceded. Enough banter. Frumple was suddenly animated again. What brings a pervert to Kala? Summoning? And where does this kid fit in? He's my apprentice, Oz informed him. Really? Frumple swept me with a sympathetic gaze. Are things really that tough, kid? Maybe we could work something out. He's quite happy with the situation, Oz interrupted. Now, let's get to our problem. You want me to cure this kid's insanity? Huh? No, come on, Frumple. We came here on business. Let's declare a truce for a while, okay? If you insist. It'll seem strange, though. Perverts and devils never really have gotten along. That's Pervex. See what I mean? Oz, I interrupted. Could you just tell him? Oh, right, kid. Look, Frumple, we've got a problem we were hoping you could help us with. You see, I've lost my powers. What? Exploded Frumple. You came here without the magical ability to protect yourself against being followed? That tears it. I spent 7 years building a comfortable front here, and some idiot comes along and... Look, Frumple, we told you the kid here is my apprentice. He knows more than enough to cover us. A half-trained apprentice? He's trusting my life and security to a half-trained apprentice? You seem to be overlooking the fact that we're already here. If anything was going to happen, it would have already happened. Every minute you two are here, you're threatening my existence, which is all the more reason for you to deal with our problem immediately and stop this pointless breastbeating. The two of them glared at each other for a few moments, while I tried to be very quiet and unnoticeable. Frumple did not seem to be the rightest choice for someone to pin our hopes on. Oh, all right, Frumple grumbled at last, since I probably won't be rid of you any other way. He strode to the wall and produced what looked like a length of rope from behind one of the rugs. That's more like it, Oz said triumphantly. Sit down and shut up, ordered our host. Oz did as he was bid, and Frumple proceeded to circle him. As he moved, the devil held the rope first this way, then that, sometimes looped it in a circle, other times hanging limp. All the while, he stared intently at the ceiling as if reading a message written there in fine print. I didn't have the faintest idea what he was doing, but it was strangely enjoyable to watch someone order Oz about and get away with it. The devil said at last. Yes, I think we can say your powers are definitely gone. Terrific, Oz growled. Look, Frumple, we didn't come all this way to be told something we already knew. You devils are supposed to be able to do anything. Well, do something. It's not that easy, Pervert, Frumple snapped back. I need information. How did you lose your powers, anyway? I don't know for sure, Oz admitted. I was summoned to Kala by a magician, and when I arrived, they were gone. A magician? Which one? Garkin. Garkin. He's a mean one to cross. Why don't you just get him to restore your powers instead of getting me involved? Because he's dead. Is that enough reason for you? That makes it difficult. Are you saying you can't do anything? Oz sneered. I should have known. I always thought the reputation of devils was overrated. Look, Pervert, do you want me to help or not? Or do you want my help or not? I didn't say I couldn't do anything, just that it would be difficult. That's more like it, Oz chortled. Let's get started. Not so fast, interrupted Frumple. I didn't say I wouldn't help. I didn't say I would help you, just that I could. I see, sneered Oz. Here it comes, kid. The price tag. I told you they were shakedown artists. Actually, the devil said dryly, I was thinking of the time factor. It would take a while for me to make my preparations, and I believe I've made my feelings quite clear about you staying here longer than is absolutely necessary. In that case, smiled Oz, I suggest you get started. I believe I've made my feelings quite clear that we intend to stay here until the cure is effected. In that case, the devil smiled back at him, I believe you raised the matter of cost. How much did you have with you? Well, I began. That strikes me as unimportant, Oz glared warningly at me. I suppose you tell us how much you feel is a fair price for your services. Frumple graced him with one withering glare before sinking thoughtfully into his calculations. Material cost is up, and of course, there's my time, and you did call without an appointment. Let's say it would cost you, just as a rough estimate, mind you owe in the neighborhood of... Say, he suddenly brightened and smiled at us. Maybe you'd be willing to work this as a trade. I cure you, and you do me a little favor. What kind of favor? Oz asked suspiciously. For once, I was in complete agreement with him. Something in Frumple's voice did not inspire confidence. A small thing, really, the devil purred. Sort of a decoy mission. We'd rather pay cash, I asserted firmly. Shut up, kid, Oz advised. What kind of decoy mission, Frumple? You may have noticed the young couple who entered my shop ahead of you. You did? Good. Then you have doubtless noticed they are not on the premises currently. How did they leave? I asked curiously. I'll get to that in a moment, Frumple smiled. Anyway, theirs is an interesting if common story. I'll spare you the details, but in short, they're young lovers kept apart by their families. In their desperation, they turned to me for assistance. I obliged them by sending them to another dimension where they can be happy, free of their respective families' intervention. For free, of course, Oz commented dryly. Of course, Frumple smiled. Come on, Oz, I chided. It sounds like a decent thing to do, even if he was paid for it. Quite so, beamed the devil. You're quite perceptive for one so young. Anyway, my generosity has left me in a rather precarious position. As you may have no doubt noticed, I am quite concerned with my image in this town. There's a chance that image may be threatened if the couple's relatives succeed in tracking them to my shop, and no farther. That must have been some fee, Oz mumbled. Now, my proposition is this. In exchange for my assistance, I would ask that you two disguise yourself as that couple and lay a false trail away from my shop. How much of a false trail? I elaborated. Oh, it needn't be anything elaborate. Just be seen leaving town by enough townspeople to ensure that attention will be drawn away from my shop. Once out of sight of town, you can change to any disguise you like and return here. By that time, my preparations for your cure should be complete. Well, what do you say? Is it a deal? And that's the end of chapter 12. Be careful with that and enjoy, please and thank you. Bye.